Begin tonight with Tezlyn Figaro, former Bernie Sanders campaign advisor, Steve Cortes, former senior advisor for President Trump's 2016 and 2020 campaigns. Welcome, both of you. Tezlyn, I want to start with you. Is this another example of Trump having Democrats on the wrong side of an issue?
No, this is another example of not doing the correct thing in order to fight crime. You know, let me just take a quick poll. How many of us on this panel have ever served in the military? Raise your hand. How many on this panel have ever served as a police officer in the military? Raise your hand. So my argument is not about what we need to do in order to reduce immigration, to fix that issue, or what we need to do to reduce the crime. It is how it is being done, Leland. And the bottom line is the National Guard is not prepared, not trained to deal with civilians. I'm not a spokesperson for Brandon, for Mayor Brandon, but I will say that homicides are down 33%. Shootings are down 38%. Overall crime is down. He has promoted and trained 200 detectives.
Hold on, Tezlyn. Then why does 80+% of Americans say that crime in major cities is a problem? Why, when I go out in D.C. where the National Guard is, people are coming up to them thanking them for being here? Why is it that the mayor of Chicago, hold on. Why is it the mayor of Chicago said carjackings are down 80+% and said this surge of federal resources has been very helpful?
Right. Well, she also said, and the mayor of D.C. said that the way that it's going about it is not going to be sustaining. So sending the National Guard for 2 or 3 days, knowing good and well that that is not a sustainable plan. Let's be clear. I was a police officer in the military, Leland, so you don't have to give me a speech on the importance of reducing crime or the importance of what it means to have the military. What I'm saying is if you want crime to be reduced, then what about the programs that have been implemented that Mayor Brandon Johnson has done that has reduced the crime? So let me finish. No one is saying that people want to continue to have the crime not reduced. What I'm saying is how it's being done.
Hold on. You've now said how it's being done 4 times, but I'll ask the question one last time. In D.C., we heard the same thing 3 weeks ago, that crime was down 26%. Now, they were cooking the books, so that's sort of what Harry Truman used to call cow manure. But anyway, neither here nor there. But when the federal resources came in, when the National Guard came in, and when the police came in, guess what? Crime plummeted. So said the mayor. So that kind of defeats your argument, doesn't it? Right.
So let me say it for the 5th time. Since you said I said it 4 times, let me say it for the 5th time. The mayor of D.C., the clip that you guys did not circulate, because the right circulated the clip with her saying that it was down, but you did not put her last statement that said that how it was being done was not sustainable.
Who cares how it's done?
So of course, well, those of us who served, did you serve? Because I certainly did. So those of us that served to defend the country, not to militarize our cities. So let me be clear. Sending the National Guard for 2 or 3 days, Leland, of course it's going to reduce over 2 or 3 days. What I am asking you is, how do we sustain that over 2 or 3 weeks? Big deal. What is going to happen over the next year? If you are serious about reducing crime, put a plan in place for long-term investment. That's my argument. I'm talking the same tone as you.
It's very important, by the way. And listen, I speak as a former Chicagoan. I raised a family in the city for 25 years. The #1 reason that I left is crime, because it became so dangerous for my family and for me, I could no longer, in good conscience, live there. Most people who had the ability to leave did so, by the way. But regarding crime statistics, when you say crime is down from what point? Is it as bad now as it was during the worst parts of the lockdowns? No. When it was absolute carnage, is it that bad? No. But is it worse than it was pre-COVID panic? It's much worse than it was pre-COVID panic.
Steve, right. And people are moving out of Chicago, and the only people who are left to stay there are the people who don't have a choice. They're the ones who are getting shot, mostly on the south side. But Steve, this brings up an important point. If the National Guard is the answer to crime problems in American cities, and I would say I disagree with Tezlyn, I think it's been working. Why is Donald Trump not asking the governors of red states, Missouri, where St. Louis has a murder rate double that of Chicago, or the mayor of Louisiana, red state? Trump could say to the governor, hey, governor, you need to call up the National Guard, send them into Shreveport or Baton Rouge or New Orleans. Call up the Tate Reeves, the governor of Mississippi, and say, go into Jackson, where the murder rate's also higher. If the National Guard is the answer, why isn't he doing it in those cities?
Well, listen, Leland, he should. First of all, those governors should be doing it on their own. They shouldn't need to be directed by President Trump. So I agree with you. By the way, I now live in the state of Tennessee, and Memphis, unfortunately, is a version of Chicago in the red state of Tennessee. I wish the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, Republican, would be more aggressive.
So doesn't
I agree with you.
Hold on. So doesn't that sort of go to Tezlyn's argument?
Wait a minute, Leland. First of all, get my argument correct, because you said that you disagree with Tezlyn saying that it was not down. I said it's down. I said it's good that it's down. By the way, I also lived in Chicago as well. No one is arguing. Let me say it low, because I know you said I was yelling, so let me do it where it's more acceptable to you in an acceptable tone. I said that it is down. I said that it's working. What I'm saying is 2 weeks of working will not correct the issue for 365 days a year. So if you're going to quote my argument, please position it correctly. I want to know what is going to be done once the National Guard leaves. That is my question, Leland.
Steve, I think it's a reasonable question.
And I can answer that. What should be done? First of all, a new mayor. Secondly, a political class in Chicago that actually backs the police rather than defunds them, rather than undercuts them at every opportunity. And thirdly, a prosecutor that means business, not a Soros-backed stooge who refuses to prosecute violent crimes. But here's the thing. Even if the National Guard, let's say for the sake of argument that it's not sustainable over the long term, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't save lives, that we shouldn't stop the carnage right now. And you keep saying that crime is down. Again, down from what level? It's not down from 2019.
I didn't keep saying that.
You said it many times. It's not down from 2019.
No, you keep saying
I'm going to need a real time.
Here's the reality in Chicago right now.
Yeah, let's roll the tape. I said it once. Leland said I said 4 times that it wasn't sustainable. I didn't keep talking about that it's down over and over.
It doesn't work when everybody's talking. Steve, go ahead, and then Tezlyn gets the last word.
In Chicago, over the last 4 years, by the numbers, okay, not my opinion, over the last 4 years, there's over 4 carjackings per day average over the last 4 years in the city of Chicago. Young black men aged 20 to 24 in the city of Chicago, almost half of them, 47%, are neither working nor in school. Chicago has become a failed city in the heart of the United States. That cannot be tolerated. It can't be tolerated by the president, by the citizens of Chicago, by anyone in this country.
All right, Steve, you made your point. Tezlyn, let me ask a question to that point, and you get the last word here.
Sure. I'll do you worry?
Do you worry? Okay, don't patronize me. Do you worry that Democrats? No, don't patronize me. Do you worry that Democrats?
I wasn't yelling. I was speaking with the same tone. Okay. No, I was speaking with the same tone you were. And every time I give you the same, every time I give you the same energy, you patronized me and said I was yelling. So I'm going to say it low, Leland.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tezlyn. We appreciate you being here. Steve, I'll ask the question to you. Does Republicans have a Achilles heel here, possibly? Because the National Guard in D.C. is largely popular. The National Guard in Los Angeles was not. How does Trump get what he got in D.C. if he goes into Chicago and not the problems he got in Los Angeles?
Look, I will say this in general, and I do a lot of polling, and I'm very objective about my polling. Republicans, for example, have a problem on the economy right now. But on security issues, Republicans do not have a problem at all. As a matter of fact, they've got a winning issue here. So it's not just the right thing to do, but very, very popular broadly. I would posit to you that Los Angeles happened so early in the term that there hadn't been yet a momentum built up that, hey, wait a second, the feds are part of the solution here. Not the only solution, not even the primary part, but they are part of the solution in fixing American big cities that are out of control. And by the way, anyone knows that who is being honest, who visits these places. If you simply go to Center City, Washington, or Chicago, you spend one evening there and you will say, this doesn't feel right, it looks dirty, I feel unsettled. I mean, any reasonable person will admit that and say, this shouldn't be happening in America.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.